It is something valuable, something the brain and body actively need. The voice of the mind in silence is different. In noise, inner speech tends to be reactive and fragmented. In quiet, it becomes elaborative and reflective, longer, deeper, more honest. The quiet mind thinks differently, more slowly, more thoroughly, more truthfully. The hour before sleep is a neurological transition window. Noise, light, and intense activity during this time can delay sleep onset, suppress melatonin, and reduce restorative deep sleep. A quiet, low-stimulation pre-sleep period allows the transition to proceed smoothly. Heart rate falls. Cortisol drops. The brain begins moving towards sleep with the natural ease of day moving into night. The glymphatic system, the brain's internal cleaning mechanism, operates most efficiently during deep sleep. Space between brain cells expands, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to carry away waste products. Noise that fragments deep sleep interferes with this process. The silence that protects your sleep tonight may also, quietly and gradually, be protecting the long-term health of your mind. Children learning language benefit substantially from acoustic quiet. Background noise masks the subtle patterns in speech that language acquisition depends on. Studies show that children in noisier home environments show slower vocabulary development and later mastery of complex grammar. Language, which gives the mind so much of its power, grows most richly in the quiet. Therapeutic silence is now recognized in clinical psychology. Deliberate pauses in therapy facilitate emotional processing, support insight, and communicate acceptance more effectively than words alone. Some of the most healing moments in therapy involve no words at all. We are now deep into this journey, and the evidence is converging from every direction. Silence reduces cortisol. Silence activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Silence allows the hippocampus to grow. Silence restores directed attention. Silence protects sleep. Silence deepens inner speech. Silence is not an absence. It is a condition of becoming. The condition in which the brain, the body, and perhaps the self complete the work that noise perpetually interrupts. You are already in that condition now. Feel how much easier your breath has become. Let's drift onward. Sound is one of the most powerful triggers of memory, and yet silence may be equally essential. Memory consolidation, the transfer of experiences from short-term to long-term storage, occurs most efficiently during quiet and sleep. What you learn in noise may be harder to keep. What you process in silence may be more durably woven into who you are. Environmental psychology shows that the most restorative environments share certain features: low noise levels, natural soundscapes, low social demands, spatial openness. These conditions allow the brain to shift from effortful processing to the receptive mode in which restoration occurs. They are, in essence, the conditions that approximate silence. Pain perception is meaningfully altered by acoustic environment. Patients in quieter hospital settings report lower pain intensity and require less medication. Some hospitals now implement quiet hour protocols, structured periods of reduced noise, and see measurable reductions in patient pain, anxiety, and sleep disruption. Silence, it turns out, is also a gentle analgesic. The incubation effect in creativity, the phenomenon where a problem resolves during rest, appears to involve the default mode network. During quiet, unconscious associative processes connect information across distant memory networks in ways directed thinking cannot. Silence does not empty the creative mind. It fills it with connections that noise was too loud to let through. Emotional regulation, the capacity to manage emotional responses, is among the functions most improved by quiet. The prefrontal cortex, which regulates the amygdala, requires both sleep and quiet to maintain its capacity. When people are sleep-deprived or noise-stressed, emotional reactions become larger, faster, and harder to modulate. Quiet is not merely pleasant for the emotionally taxed mind. It is physiologically necessary. The neuroscience of listening shows that natural soundscapes, forests, streams, rainfall, produce a distinct pattern of brain activity. Reduced activity in default mode regions associated with rumination, and increased activity in regions associated with outward attention. The sound of rain heard from a warm, quiet room maybe doing something quite specific to a worried mind. Long-term silent meditation has been shown to produce structural changes in the brain, thickening of the cortex and attention-related regions, and increased gray matter density in the hippocampus and insula. The brain shaped by silence becomes structurally different, more attentive, more resilient, more itself. Chronic noise stress impairs theory of mind, the ability to understand others' mental states. When mental resources are taxed by noise management, less capacity remains for the nuanced processes underlying empathy. Silence, in this framing, is also a social good. As sleep pressure increases, your auditory system undergoes acoustic gating, a progressive filtering of external sound. Sounds that were audible an hour earlier grow muffled, distant, irrelevant. You are in that process now. The quiet around you is becoming quieter still. Halfway through our journey, the central question has been answered many times over. Silence heals the brain because the brain was designed, through millions of years in environments far quieter than today, to use quiet as a signal. Safe. Stop monitoring. Begin restoring. Grow. Every physiological response to silence is the brain answering that ancient signal with its ancient response. And that response, encoded in biology long before cities or screens, is still there, waiting reliably for you to become quiet enough to let it begin. Now, let's allow this understanding to rest. Your only task now is to lie still, to let the weight of your body settle, to let the facts, the words, the gentle science drift into the background like soft rain against a distant window. You have traveled far tonight, further than most journeys take you. In the deepest hour of the night, between roughly 2 and 4 in the morning, sleep is longest, cortisol is lowest, and the body completes its deepest repair. That is the hour silence was designed for. You are heading there now. Natural silence is never truly silent. It contains a sound bed, wind, water, living things, at levels below 20 decibels. The brain, hearing it, responds as though receiving the deepest possible quiet. Perhaps it knows. This is the original silence, the one that means all is well. The sleeping brain continues to process sound, but through a different filter. The thalamus actively gates incoming signals, allowing most to pass without reaching consciousness. Only sounds with survival relevance, a name, a cry, clear the threshold. In a quiet room, very few signals do. Sleep deepens undisturbed. The brain completes its essential work. There is a moment in the descent into sleep when awareness of the body softly dissolves. The weight of limbs, the texture of sheets, all cease to register. This is a quieting of the body's reporting. The body becomes quiet to itself, and in that bodily silence, the mind follows gently, without effort. Memory researchers have found that the brain replays and consolidates the day's experiences during quiet sleep. Neural patterns from waking are reactivated, strengthening connections. What you have heard tonight, these gentle facts, these quiet truths, is being softly filed even now as you drift. Somewhere, the mind is keeping what matters most. Every creature with a nervous system requires periods of reduced acoustic load. The whole of the living world settles into quiet to recover. And tonight, so do you. The brain's electrical activity, as sleep deepens, slows from the fast beta waves of waking, through calm alpha, into the theta of light sleep, and finally into the large, slow delta waves of deep restoration. This progression from noise to silence is not metaphorical. It is electrical, measurable, already happening in you. Studies on flotation therapy, immersion in a soundproofed, darkened tank, show consistent reductions in anxiety, pain, and stress markers. The most profound quiet the body can access produces the most profound restoration. You are in your own version of that now. In quiet environments, visual processing becomes more receptive, less effortful. Art, nature, beauty are perceived more deeply when the acoustic environment allows the brain to be fully present. In the quiet, everything becomes slightly more vivid, and then slowly, beautifully, everything fades. Waking after a genuinely quiet night's sleep is distinctly different. Studies show higher morning mood, better cognitive clarity, lower stress. The body that slept in quiet has had its cortisol regulated overnight. its immune markers in balance, its emotional circuits restored. Waking from genuine quiet sleep is like emerging from still, clear water, refreshed, oriented, carrying none of the turbulence of the night before. Comfortable silence with another person is a marker of intimacy and trust. Couples who can sit quietly together report higher relationship satisfaction, and silence with oneself requires the same trust that what you are in the quiet is enough. There are places in the world where acoustic ecologists have recorded what they call 1 square inch of silence, locations so remote that human noise intrudes for fewer than 15 minutes a day. These places are rare now. Their rarity tells us something about what we have lost, and what the brain still quietly hopes to find. The silence of midnight is different from the silence of afternoon. The silence of a sleeping house is different from an empty room in daylight. Something in the acoustic ecology of night, the stillness of the world, the way sound travels differently when day is done, creates a quality of quiet that feels, to the resting body and the drowsing mind, unlike any other. You're inside that silence now. It is wider than the room. It is older than the night. The final stage of sleep onset, the hypnagogic state, is a threshold. Thoughts lose their linear structure. Images arise. Scenes acquire the emotional weight of dreams. Your body is already still. The room, the night, the quiet surrounding you, all of it growing more distant with each breath. This is where the brain completes its transition from the noise of day to the silence of sleep. It does so with a natural grace that requires nothing from you, only the willingness to stop holding the waking world in place. Each breath you take now is quieter than the one before. This is your body finding its natural resting rhythm. Your breath does not need direction. It knows what to do. In the quiet, it simply does it. The last sounds a sleeping person registers are often the most ambient, the most rhythmic, the hum of the house, the soft settling of night, their own breathing. These sounds do not interrupt sleep because they are predictable. The brain, finding nothing new, allows itself to go further in. The most sleep-protective sound is the sound that says, "Nothing has changed. You are safe. Go deeper." Simply go deeper now. The single environmental variable most consistently associated with high sleep quality is perceived acoustic quiet in the sleeping environment. The most accessible, reliable sleep support available to most people is not a device or a supplement. It is quiet, the thing the night was always meant to offer, the thing the sleeping brain has always been designed to receive. You are receiving it now. The sound of your own heartbeat, when you are very still, is one of the quietest sounds you can hear. It requires genuine stillness to perceive, a body and a room quiet enough that the faint rhythmic pressure of blood moving through your chest becomes audible. That sound was the first sound you ever heard, transmitted through the warmth and quiet of the womb before you had a name for anything, including yourself. It is still there now in the silence, quiet, steady, completely sufficient. And so our quiet journey through the science of silence comes to a close. We have traveled from the first measurable shift in the brain when noise disappears, through the slow architecture of restoration and growth, to the place where the scientific and the simply human converge in the same recognition. That quiet is not empty. That silence is not the absence of life. It is one of its most essential conditions. We have glimpsed how the hippocampus grows in the quiet, how the heart becomes more flexible in stillness, how the default mode network weaves together the threads of who you are when the noise stops demanding your attention. From the ancient acoustic ecology of forests and night skies, to the faint electrical rhythm of the sleeping brain, to the simplest truth, the mind heals most deeply when the world grows quiet enough to let it. Silence reminds us that much of what matters most about being human happens not in the noise, but between the notes, in the pauses, in the spaces, in the unhurried stillness where the self, finally undemanded, can simply be. The quietest moments of a life are rarely its least significant. They are often its most honest. The moments where nothing is performed, nothing managed, and what remains is something real. Without silence, the mind cannot complete itself. Without quiet, the body cannot heal. By pausing to rest in stillness, we do not remove ourselves from life. We return to it whole, Take the deepest breath you can. Feel yourself resting inside the silence that underlies all sound, the way a word rests inside the quiet that makes it audible. Every sound in the world arises from silence and returns to silence. The first breath arose from quiet and will one day return to it. Right now, in this room, you are already there, already in the quiet that was always waiting. Let your entire being dissolve into the soft darkness, into the breath that needs no guidance, into the stillness that was always there beneath the noise. No boundaries left, only peace. If this quiet exploration helped you rest, fall asleep, or simply breathe more freely tonight, a gentle like or subscribe helps other tired souls find this peaceful space too. But there's no need to do anything now. Nothing at all. You have traveled far tonight. Let these thoughts of silence and healing fade now, like the last light dissolving at the end of a long, still afternoon, leaving only the soft, clean, calm behind. Let your breathing deepen. Let your body feel heavier, as if the earth beneath you has gently increased its gravity, just enough to hold you more completely. If sleep comes, let it carry you like a slow tide moving inward, smoothly, inevitably, into a realm where time and weight no longer matter. Tomorrow, the world will still be there with all its sound and motion, but tonight belongs to stillness. Rest well, quiet soul, and remember, the silence you have been searching for was never far away. It was here, beneath everything, the whole time, waiting for you to stop long enough to hear it. Fall asleep to gentle facts, where science meets sleep. Dream deeper with bedtime science. Good night.